Jimmy, it's good to see you today.
It's a pleasure.
All right, so you might remember this from last time, but at the beginning of every session, we will set an agenda. Does that sound good with you?
Sounds good.
Okay, so on the agenda today, I'll always start with a mood check, and I'll ask you what's happened since the last week that we saw each other, and then I'll ask you what you'd like to work on today, and then maybe we'll work on that a little bit, and then at the end, we'll figure out some things that you can do between now and our next session to work on those things. And then at the very end, I'll ask how the session went for you. Does that sound okay?
Yeah, I think that sounds great.
Awesome. So how are you feeling this week?
Realistically, I've been pretty frustrated. I got a D on a really big exam this week, which was exceptionally frustrating.
Okay. So we can put the getting a D on the exam on our agenda for today?
Yes, I would like to talk about that.
Okay. Anything else you'd like to put on the agenda?
I've been pretty tired, just in general. And then I'm pretty stressed about our move.
The move
My
to
wife
Korea.
and I are moving.
Okay. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
I don't think so. No.
All right. The D on the exam, how much is that upsetting you today?
I think that's the biggest factor in my current emotional state.
Okay.
Yeah.
So is that more important than talking about your tiredness and your stress about the move?
Yeah, for me.
Okay. So would it be okay with you if we move the tiredness and the stress until next week? And I can ask you again if those things are important and we can prioritize them next week?
That sounds good.
Awesome. I'll make a note of that here. Excuse me. Okay, so tell me about it. What happened with your exam this week? How much did you study? What happened?
I didn't study that much. Definitely could have studied more. Clearly I didn't know the answers to the questions.
Okay. And what grade did you say you got on this
I got
exam?
a D.
A D. Okay. Is that passing or failing for your classes?
It's failing.
It's failing. Okay. So, how upset would you say it made you feel from, this is a measure we'll use throughout our time, but if you could give your feeling a percentage, either 0% or 100%, how upset from 0 to 100 did getting this exam make you feel?
At least a 90.
Okay, so it was really quite distressing.
Yeah, it's bad grades can really affect you, period, and how you progress throughout the course. So.
Okay. So why don't you walk me through, kind of picture it in your mind. So you're in class, you've taken the exam, and your professor hands you the paper, and there's a big D on it. What went through your mind?
My first thought is I'm dumb. Who gets a D? And then realistically, I would say that probably I should have studied more. I could have done better if I had studied more.
Okay, so you identified what we call automatic thoughts. You told yourself, I'm so dumb and I should have studied more, and who gets a D? So those are automatic thoughts. They're just thoughts that, like the exam, they pop into your mind, and you don't usually give much thought to them. You don't really sit there and evaluate whether they're true or not, and so you just kind of accept them as true. Does that make sense?
So you're saying that they're thoughts that I just automatically think. Okay, that makes sense. Like I don't qualify them.
Okay. Do you remember the cognitive model that we talked about last week? What do you remember from that?
Not a lot. I would love a refresher.
Okay, that's totally fine. So what we talked about last week is that the cognitive model, essentially, is that you've got a situation that happens. And a lot of times we think just this situation made me feel poorly. But really, there are some other things that happen there. So a situation happens, and then you have some thoughts. And those thoughts, whatever you tell yourself, affects how you feel. And then, of course, how you feel affects your actions and so forth. You remember that?
Okay, yep.
Awesome. So let's really kind of dive into these automatic thoughts. What's the evidence that you have? Let's start with the first one, the one you said, I'm so dumb. What evidence do you have that you are dumb?
I got a D on the exam. I mean, that's obviously the most recent experience, I would say.
Allie? Allie, come here. Sorry, dog got into something. Allie, come. I'm sorry, you were talking about the evidence you have that you feel dumb. So you said you got a D.
Yeah.